So welcome back to the Linux tutorial on shell scripting. And for this tutorial, we're going to focus on the if statement. The if statement allows the ability to make decisions in your program. However, there is a little difference when it comes to shell scripting. Unlike any other programming language, you have the if-else statement, but in Linux, you have the if-then fee statement. And the fee denotes that it's the end of the statement, or it's the end of the program. So let's go back to the terminal and create a script file. So I'm going to use the touch command to do that, and I'm going to call my file if-test.sh. I'm going to hit enter, and while I'm at it, I'm just going to change the permission using the chmod command. So chmod 755 and the name of the script. So it's if-test.sh. Now if I do ls inside of the tutorial folder, I would see that my if-test.sh is created. I'm going to use vi as my text editor, and I'm going to say if-test.sh. And the first line or the first command inside of my file would be my shebang. I'm going to press I to insert. So pound exclamation mark slash usr slash bin slash env space bash. So inside of the file, I'm going to create a variable called color, and I'm going to equal the color to $1. So $1 is the parameter. And I'm going to use the if statement here and say if, and I want to use the variable color. So I'm going to say if, and then open bracket, space, and then $, the name of my variable. If you take a look at how I wrote the if statement, there is a space between the if. In Linux, you have to put a space, or when you're doing scripting, you have to put a space after the if, then the bracket, then a space again. If you do not put a space, that will be an error. So I'm going to say if color equals to, and in here I'm going to put green. I'm going to use the space and the brackets, and then I'm going to say then, and then I want to echo right color, and then end it. And I need the fee to denote it's the end of the statement. Now I'm going to press escape, WQ to save and quit and get back to the terminal. So now I'm going to run my script, and I'm going to say if test.sh, and I'm going to specify the color green and hit enter, and right color displayed. If I go back again and I put a different color, nothing will show up because I didn't have a else statement if the color is not correct. So let's go back into the text editor. Now you can also use the test keyword instead of using the open and closing brackets. The test command will return 0 if it's true or 1 if it's false, depending on the evaluation. The test command is equivalent to the open and closing brackets. So if you don't want to use the open and closing brackets, you can say test, and then let's delete the last bracket and escape, WQ to save. And let's go back and run the same code again, and we will get right color. So it's your preference. You can use test, or you can use open and closing brackets. You can also do this. You can remove the if, and you can also delete this line as well. So let's delete the then, and let's also delete the fee. Escape, WQ, and let's run the file one more time, and we get the same thing. So it's your preference. However, I do not really use the test command that much. I prefer using the if then else command. So let's go back into VI. The if statement comes with a list of options you can use. You have the -a if the file exists, you have -b if the file exists and is a block special file, -c if the file exists and is a character file, -d if the file exists and is a directory, -e if the file exists. -e and -a goes with each other. It's just that -e is more of an updated version, so a lot of people prefer to use -e than -a. You also have -f is if the file exists and it's a regular file, -r if the file exists and is a readable file, -s if the file exists and is greater than 0, -w if the file exists and is writable, -x if the file exists and is executable. Special ones, which is capital O, if the file exists and owned by effective user ID, -G if the file exists and owned by effective group, and -N if the file exists and has been modified since it was last read. For this example, let's use the -e option. Let's declare a variable called file, and we're going to initialize file to $1. We're going to say if space, then open bracket space -e. So we're going to use the variable file. So we're going to say $, open and closing curly brackets. Then we want to use the variable name. So file and closing curly brackets, space, closing brackets. And then we're going to use then. So if the file exists, then I want to echo or print to the screen file exists. If the file does not exist, I'm going to use the else statement, and I'm going to say else. I want to echo or print file does not exist. I'm going to close it with the double quotes, and then I'm going to use the v statement to denote that it's the end of the file. So let's escape, hit :WQ to save, and let me clear the screen. I'm going to run the command /, and the name of the text file, so it's if test.sh, and I'm going to put the name of a file, so it's going to be text.txt, and I'm going to hit enter, and it says file does not exist. The file will not exist because there is not a file called text.txt in our folder. So if I do ls, you would see no file in here called text.txt. So let's create the file. And I'm going to say text.txt, and I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm going to do a next ls, and the text.txt file is inside of the folder now. So let's run the command again, and this time it will come back the file exists. And now you see the command returned the file exists because we just created the file. Let's create a folder, mkdir, and I'm going to call this folder test. So if I do an ls, then you will see test is inside of my folder. So let's go into the test folder using cd test. And now you see that I'm inside of the test folder. So let's do another ls. There is nothing inside of the file. So let's create a text file inside of the test folder called read.txt. And we're going to use the touch command to do that. So touch read.txt. And if we do a next ls, we will see that the read.txt file is inside of the test file. So let's go back inside of the tutorial folder to execute the command, because we cannot execute the command in this path. So to go back up one path or to go back up one step, you can say cd space .. And now we're back in the tutorial folder. What we can do here, we can say / if test.sh, and then we want to go inside of the test folder. So we're giving direct path to the file that we want to search for. So we want to go inside of the test folder that we created, and inside of the test folder, look for the read.txt file, and we press enter, and it says the file exists. Now if we run that command again, but this time let's do it with text.txt, it will say file does not exist because there is no file called text.txt inside of the test folder. So text.txt, let's press enter. File does not exist. So let us cd into the test file, do an ls, and we see we only have the read.txt file. So let's go back inside of the text editor. And let's use the -f option. The -f option tells us if the file exists and is a regular file. So let us do a little bit of changes in the echo command. So file exists, and let's say and is a regular file. If the file does not exist, then we will say the file not exist or not a regular file. Let's hit escape, :WQ to save and quit. Let's clear the screen. Let's do an ls. And you see that we have the text file in here. We have a directory and we have 3 executable files. So first, let's try it with a regular file, and the regular file is the text.txt. Let's run a script using /if-test.sh, and we're going to put text.txt, and we get file exists and is a regular file because this file is just a regular text file. The test is a directory because I can go into, so you see I can cd into that folder. It's not a file, it's a folder, so I'm in test. And let's go back. Now let's test the script again, but this time we're not going to use a file, we're going to use a directory. So if test.sh, and this time I'm going to put test, and when I hit enter, then it's going to say the file does not exist or not a regular file because test is a directory. You also have comparison options you can use with the if statement as well. So let's go back inside of the VI text editor. Let's delete everything using D, and let's create a new programmable file. So inside of the file, let's declare a variable number. So we're going to say num1, and num1 is going to equals to $1, and let's do another variable. We're going to call this one num2, and num2 is going to equals to 20. So let's check if we're going to use if statement space open bracket space. So we want to use the num1 variable. So we have to use $ and the name of the variable. I'm going to use the -GT option, and the -GT options mean greater than. So if num1 is greater than $num2, then I'm going to close space, close in brackets. Then I'm going to use the then statement, and then I'm going to echo to the screen $num1 is greater than $num2. Then I'm going to use the else statement or the else keyword, and I'm going to say echo $num2 is greater than $num1, and I'm going to end with the double quote. Then I'm going to use the phi to denote the end of the statement. I'm going to hit escape and then :WQ to save and quit, and back to my terminal. So let's run the script. /if-test.sh, and this time I'm going to say 10, and I hit enter, and it says 20 is greater than 10. Let's run it again. This time let's use 30, and 30 is greater than 20. You have a list of comparison options you can use with the if statement. You have greater than, and the greater than checks if the value on the left operand is greater than the value of the right operand. You have the LT, so -LT checks if the left operand is less than the right operand. And you have NE, NE checks if the value of two operands are equal or not. LE checks if the value of the left operand is less than or equal to the value of the right operand, and GE checks if the value of the left operand is greater than or equal to the value of the right operand. So let's try the elif statement. There is also the elif statement, and the elif statement allows us to check a different expression from the if statement. The elif is like else if in other programming languages, and it must come before the else. So before you use the else statement, you have to use the elif. So let's try the elif statement. Let's create a new file. So I'm going to use the touch command, and I'm going to call this file elif test.sh, and I'm going to do ls, and my elif file is in here. I'm going to modify the file same time so I can get execute permission. So chmod 755, and I want elif test.sh, and if I do an ls, I can see now that my file is executable. So let's go inside of the text editor, and the first thing I'm going to write in the text editor is the shebang. So /user/bin/env bash. I'm going to create a variable called computer value, and I'm going to assign the computer value variable I just created to the number 50. I'm going to create another value called user value, and I'm going to assign that value to parameter 1. So it's going to be $1, and I'm going to use the if statement. So I'm going to say if space open bracket space $, and I'm going to use the variable user value, and I'm going to say if it's greater than computer value, and I'm going to close it with the closing brackets, and then I'm going to say then, and I want to echo a statement. I'm going to say echo your guess is too high, and then I'm going to use the elif statement, and then so I'm going to say elif space open brackets space $, and the name of the variable, and I want to use the LT option, so it's going to be less than $, computer value. Then I'm going to close my elif statement, and then I'm going to use the then keyword, and I want to also make an echo statement. So I'm going to echo your guess is too low, and I'm going to use the else statement to close it off, because the else has to be the last statement from the if and elif statement. So I'm going to say else, and I'm going to echo you guessed right. So I'm going to end the program with the fee statement, and now let's save. So I'm going to hit escape :WQ to quit and get back to the terminal, and now I'm going to run the script. It's going to be ./elif test.sh, and I'm going to pass in number. So the number I'm going to pass in 30, and my guess is too low. I'm going to run the script again, but this time I'm going to run it with 60, and it says the guess is too high. And now I'm going to run the script again with the value 50, and you guess right. So the if, elif, and fee command is very useful when you're doing scripting.